Hello everyone, I'm Xiaogang. Okay, in this lesson, we'll look at this FText. It's actually quite important. It mainly handles the localization of our text. You can see its underlying structure is like this. It implements this ITX data through shared references. The cost of copying this is relatively low, and it can effectively detect whether changes have occurred. Also, note that in this case, there may be some differences in the creation methods. That is, when you switch cultures, and some of its network transmission, or some changes, etc. Actually, we don't need to delve into these things for now. We mainly need to know how does FText be used to create declarations, and its format as a namespace. The key is actually its identifier. Then one is the original string. It can be updated. But actually, these are mainly the three parameters. It's very simple. You'll need a epoch. The namespace is this location. This location, you can create a file, create a namespace at the file level. That is to define this. Define local/space, this red one. You can also cancel it here, but sometimes, if you only need to use one line to do it, then you use the one starting with NS. It's just this parameter. It first brings out a namespace, which is equivalent to this place. It's equivalent to being defined in another namespace. And then this is its, what do we call the key? That's our consensus. And then this is its original string. That is its most fundamental string. Yes, it's equivalent to this fundamental culture. The meaning of the string. This is the key. They are not necessarily equal. Not necessarily equal. Let the user see this. See this? This is just for us when translating. This key. Okay, the next. Let's continue to implement this part. Now let's create its implementation. Very simple. We need to define this red here. Right. We can actually define it in this position. This position should also be fine. But the most standard practice is to put it at the beginning or end of the file. The standard practice should be to place it like this. It should be placed like this. Place it in this position. Then, for example, we usually use this. That is to say, we do it based on this file name. Yes, you can see. Wait a moment. I'll move it out. That is to say, you must do it in this. If you have declared it, you must remove it here. If you don't remove it, there will be problems, because other files might also do something like this. Then we can do a global search. We cancel. You will find it appears in many places. Look at its definition specification. It is related to this file name. Then look, here it brings it back. Then look, here it uses another rum space. Because, right? And what is this part for? This is, you see, it inherits developable setting. This is the thing we put in the plugin. Look where. There is a local stack here. Like this, here. Local stack. Hey, this is something called enter type action. And you can see it is placed inside the namespace. Okay, so let's come back. So let's place it like this. Let's go back to our place. Let's just place one at each end. Then at this point, we can use this red one. The declaration of this red one is also very simple. First, we create an FText. Then we give it a my code like this. Then we go to local text. We enable it to have this translation functionality, so the engine can detect it. Then it's identifier is what we call it. We call it opener. Open code. Then we set its own translation to my code. This is a simple txt declaration like this. Then we can also declare it in another way. That is, we might sometimes need to use another such string here. Okay. Then we paste it like this. We use coder type. Very simple. Coder type. Then its namespace is obviously not supposed to be placed here. We use another namespace. We call it coder type. Coder type. This is the namespace of coder type, but you don't have to use this namespace. Then its density. The first type is code type. Or rather, we change the previous one to microtype. Dekiji. Okay, so basically this is fine. It says here, XD, we'll call this translation type. Show Gang's handwritten code type. It handles translation, and in other texts, you might translate it into Chinese, translate into English. Then you might, if it's in Chinese, you might translate it as this. Let's steal code, right? That's how it is. And this translation needs to be done in the editor. We won't demonstrate it here. We just, for example, if interacting in C++, the interaction looks like this, okay? So that's the first part of our content. It's actually like this. Just define our FText. Then you can use this txt in various places. You can use it as a parameter and return it back. There is absolutely no problem with that. Here we let it return a. Okay, so that's it. Next, let's talk about formatting. Formatting is actually quite important. We can click in first and take a look. You can see it has some comments. Let's check first. And then convert it into some numbers. Or do some kind of nice looking conversion like that. We can see. Let's go through them one by one. Then let's create a new one. Create one. This time we'll name it FText. Full formatting. The translator format, that kind of formatting. Okay, then we'll start formatting it. So we'll just do a global search for copy it over. You can see it here. He has a very long comment here. That is to say, it can be used to fill this in. You can see this very long comment. Look here. Let's use this one, simpler. Okay, let's go back here. Let's paste it. Actually, this part is format, player lam format. So it's ready local. Here we give it a player lam. Let's make it here. Upstream player lam equals, let's give it an xg. Okay, then here we can get this text. And then you see format is given an FText. We just give an FText. Then we give a layer text. That's it. Like this. We can get a text. This text. It's just this piece of text. It will replace this payment segment into it. And here we'll do a bit more while we're at it. Okay, we'll do this AsNumber. Then we can see regarding the AsNumber comment, we are here. We click into it. Then we might give it a 156.33 156.158.933.EF 抗无解生铅底点 EF. Then you'll see that it can be used directly. So on our end, we mean that it displays this text in the current cultural format. We can show him what it looks like when displayed. We'll give a txt to receive it, so we can check it later. Okay, but you can also put this text here as a parameter. That's fine too. It's just a replacement, just a format change. Then we can do the person one. We'll do the same. Let's switch it. Let's show these to everyone. AsPercent. Here we give it a 0.33f. I pressed the insetter here, so it doesn't matter. Then next, hold down the memory. Hold down memory. We give it a memory. Okay. Write to memory text. And then here we give it a 123 times, same as our document. We can take a look at this part. Let's see what parameters to pass here. Obviously, it should be a float type. %. Here we need to turn off this memory. Okay, that's it. Then next we go to this current space. This is the currency type. Let's see what it converts into. Okay, here it should also just pass an integer. Let's give it 1997. Okay. Okay, it's showing red here. Let's see if there are any other parameters that need to be passed. Oh, here it needs to provide one. Let's look at its header file. And then give a current code. Maybe this parameter needs to be passed. For example, let's just use this placeholder. Okay, then we'll use this. Let's take a look at it. So reading more is sometimes how you improve yourself. Just look at the source code more often. And then there might be some other methods. We'll ignore them. Let's look at another one here for a moment. Still DateTime. Let's just click into it. Let's see if it has it in the source code. We need to pass a datetime here. This just means it's equivalent to this side. We can just pass a datetime. Dyn is also a very useful class, team. We often use it. There are some pitfalls in it. We'll talk about that later. Here we give it a now. At this point, it is an incoming function. This function will inevitably return a datetime. We just need to receive it. My datetime equals this. Then we just pass it in like this. Yes. After passing it in, we receive it at the front. Let's take a look at what these texts look like. Okay. Then let's demonstrate this one. Time. Let's see what time passed in. It also passes this. Actually, this is just a different representation of it. We just need to see what it looks like after conversion. Time text. There are some others later. Actually, it seems we don't need to worry about them. Let's leave it at that. The others should be more or less the same approach. That things like case sensitivity. These are some are used in Blueprint. Actually, these methods correspond one-to-one. So we will mainly demonstrate these. I will directly set some breakpoints for everyone. Let's demonstrate these two methods. Okay. We will start it directly. We set a few breakpoints to make it easier for everyone to see. Then at this moment, and here we have already declared it, you can see its place. You will find it is my codes. Actually, but if you click on it, it will definitely have some deeper information structures. You see some text toaster, information like this wave count object. Then we continue moving down. This part, let's ignore it. Then we go, here it appears. Okay. Then after we enter again, we get to the blueprint. You can see the blueprint. We will break at this point. You can see here, it has this txt. Then we continue moving down. Keep going down. We're in. There's a prelim here. Let's see if it replaces correctly. You see, xg is really cool. So this is essentially a replacement. And there's a number here. You see, it adds a comma for you. This is the usual way of writing it. It just likes to use commas, especially for 3-digit integers. It will add a comma. This personal adds a % sign for you. This memory adds KIB for you. Let me explain what KIB means here. And then the jib means this thing works like this, because you will find that our hard drive is based on, sometimes it is based on 1000 to 1 megabytes. 1000 megabyte equals 1 gigabyte, but sometimes it is 1020. At the computer bottom layer, it is 1024. That is 1 kilobyte equals 1024B. And then 1 megabyte equals 1024 million KB. So actually here, there is a distinction. That is this KEB. Strictly speaking, it is based on 1024. To make an accurate such, it's equivalent to a base 1000 system. Yes, so everyone should understand that if you are dealing with G, that is to say, some people get it wrong. Sometimes they don't tell you whether this KB means KIB or KB. You need to know that KB without the R. It uses base 10,000. This KIB uses base 1044. This is a gradually clarifying standard because it's different from what we learned as kids. When we were young, we probably didn't clearly distinguish this, but now there is indeed this terminology of KIB and G. Okay, This place is a symbol of Euro technology. You can see, but it's our time. This time is a tick value. As for this tick value, you can see it's actually like this. I click in the same way. It didn't navigate over. Let's click on its header file again. This is a local data time computer. Search time. Okay. So this UTC time is equivalent after conversion. After converting over this time, you can see that we have this time, this place. Look at this time. August the 15th is normal. As for the time, it is 5:51:22 p.m. This being abnormal is correct because there is a time difference. If you want to get the local time, you might need to use some other methods. Okay, let me explain why this time means what it does. Because this time might be a bit complicated. We should talk about it separately. But it shouldn't be put into this FText. You can know that FText can do some formatting, but formatted text requires passing many parameters. You see, we obtained the time here. But you can use time. It has some methods that can retrieve the current time standard and the result after formatting. Then you can see this time is actually correct. It is now 10 a.m. on August the 15th, 2024. That's fine. So, why is this part incorrect? Because you'll notice it actually has some parameters. There is T-tag and teacher culture. And some stale ones. Obviously, it's here. When he does localization, the area of this time that it processes for you may not be the area we want. So, if you want to get it by using this method, you may need to set the parameters in these places. And that should be enough, including here. It actually also has some settings related to time zones, some options like these. Okay, so for ourselves, when we normally use it, we generally use this one. And there is a not all you here. This novel actually gets a current local time. Then he also has a method called loud UTC. You see here. I can break it off here. This UTC. So this is actually, we can see it should be rising up. That's it. As for this method, you can look at the comments inside it. This place, it gets the standard UTC time. Obviously, it's not our local time. After this time zone, this time, because this UTC is a standard time, sometimes we will switch between these two APIs, switch back and forth between these two APIs. Why do we switch back and forth? It's because some domestic APIs, when we integrate them domestically, sometimes they require you to pass a timestamp. So doing it this way is completely, if we use the local machine time, it is completely fine. But some APIs are international standardized. In that case, passing the local machine time is not quite right. They require you to pass UTC time. Type track. This is the only reasonable way. Okay, this is a small question. Let me explain this part. Why this time doesn't match the one in the bottom right corner? It's because of this reason. It's because there's a parameter later. We need to explore how to pass this parameter. Okay, basically regarding our txt file. That's about all we need to cover for now. There might still be some small issues. If they weren't covered, we'll use them later in the practical session. The key point is this format. When we often write slate, we frequently use this thing. Here we'll go to our slate, which corresponds to some boxes in the upper left corner we see, or some button options. When he makes some annotation, he particularly likes to use this txt format. Okay, that's all for our string. Okay, thank you everyone.